Hello, technicians, PMPs, my people. You know who I'm talking to. Well, today, I know it took a little bit longer than expected, but today I want to end the little mini-series with a very, very special insect that we all love, especially if you're an owner, because they make us a lot of money, and they make technicians a lot of money, and they keep the industry going round and round, which is nice. These little guys are called bed bugs. If you haven't had them, you probably will sometime in your life. If you haven't seen them, well, just be a technician for a little bit longer, and I'm sure you will. And if you haven't ever done a treatment, don't worry, I'm going to cover that all right now and today. So a little bit about bed bugs, okay? I hope I can blow some minds today with some information. I hope this will help you out in the future to know a little bit more about what they are, what to do to take care of them, their habitat, a little bit of everything. So first things first is there's about... I'm sure there's more than this, but main thing is there's two species. The two main species of bed bugs that they kind of categorize them is the tropics, and then you have kind of just your normal statewide in the city, what we have in the U.S. Type of bed bugs. Okay, so there's two different types. The tropic ones actually die a lot faster. The statewide, more in populated areas. Those ones typically live a little bit longer than the other ones. Also, there is one that if you take a bedbug class, you're probably going to hear a little bit about it. They're going to touch on it for sure, because every bedbug class I've taken, they talk about it. And it's called the bat bug. It looks exactly like the bedbug. Everything is pretty much the same. Almost everything. The only difference is they only find these in caves. So it's very specific to bats. And they've actually done a study. So in one of the classes that I took, they did a study, and they wanted to see if the bat bugs, if they could be pulled out of this scenario of a cave with all the bats and put into a bedroom with a person, would they bite that person? Would they eventually change and become the bed bug we know them to be? And the answer is no. Actually, they just eventually died off, and they didn't even try to eat the person. They were looking for bats. They weren't even drawn to the person. They had no desire to bite the person, and eventually starved to death. So kind of interesting there. But moving on, so just a little bit about bed bugs. You're going to see a post anyway. If you're not following the Instagram, go follow the Instagram, DNA Pest Podcast, okay? I always post on there before the episode, so I'm going to put a picture of the bed bugs and possibly even a video of me with a mattress that we picked up that was just infested with bed bugs. It was disgusting, but you can actually see eggs and everything on this. But the size of a bed bug, a lot of people compare it to an apple seed, so fairly small. You could probably, if you're not familiar with apple seeds, go with an orange, a lemon. Actually, a lemon seed might be a little bit big. But they're oval shaped, okay? They're about 1 to 7 millimeters in size, okay, depending on what stage you're getting them. Bed bugs also, let's back it up. The eggs are almost invisible to the naked eye, okay? So when you're doing an inspection, eggs are not the thing that you're going to be looking for, especially if they have white sheets. Good luck. And unless they have a ton of eggs in one section, then you're not even going to see them, because the eggs are actually an off-white, almost a cream color. So if you get white sheets or a white mattress, then and they're kind of spread out and there's just one egg there, you're probably not even going to see it. I suggest wearing gloves if you're doing the inspection, because you don't want these eggs to get on your hands and then on your clothes, because you're sticking your hands in your pockets to grab keys. The eggs are actually very sticky. So just a little bit about the eggs, but the size themselves most people think bed bugs you can't see, kind of like fleas. Fleas are very, very hard to see unless they're on a white background or you can actually get the adults. But bed bugs are fairly easy to spot. They are bigger. Now, once again, it's only 1 to 7 millimeters. They are still small, but they are bigger. And you do get a darker color. So if you have a white background, it's very, very easy to see them and to spot them. The other thing is bed bugs do not go through a complete metamorphosis. They are an incomplete metamorphosis, okay? So they are gradually growing up and getting bigger till they're an adult. Now, something interesting about bed bugs is, one, it's very aggressive how they create more babies, okay? So the male actually stabs the female and injects sperm into the wound, okay, which then makes the female permanently pregnant. So they can just keep on laying eggs. So there's never really another necessity to go through that process again. But they will stay pregnant their entire life after that. So from when the female lays the egg to when it hatches, it's about 10 days, okay? Also, females can lay up to 500 eggs in their lifespan. So they say it's about 200 to 500 eggs in their lifespan, which if you're saying right now, bed bugs can lay an egg a day, that's about correct on average. So, because they can only live to 6 to 12 months, okay? And I'm going to actually hit on that in just a minute. But from egg to hatch is 10 days. And then from then you have the nymph stages, okay? The instars. That's going to be 5 to 6 weeks to develop into an adult. So if you have someone calling you and they say, hey, I've been bit. Okay, so this is really good for inspections. Okay, guys? So if you haven't inspected for bed bugs, you're just wanting to get into it or anything like this, this is something I'm always asking, okay? When did you start noticing them? Okay, that's super important. The reason why that's super important, because you just learned now, okay? Egg to hatch, 10 days. From the very first little baby that pops out of that egg, you got 5 to 6 weeks till it develops to an adult. So if they say, it hasn't been too long, it's been about a month and a half maybe. Okay, you been bit, okay, a month and a half ago. That means you probably have an adult. Well, an adult has just been laying an egg a day for the past 5 to 6 weeks, okay, month and a half. On average, 29 days in a month, 30 days in a month? Okay, so you got at least 30 babies, and they're all at different stages now. At least. Okay, we're going at least. And the first little batch of babies, or baby if it was only 1 egg a day, now just became an adult and now is laying more eggs. So you now just went from 1, which I doubt they only had 1, and I doubt it was only a month ago, but now you have possibly up to 100 different bed bugs scattered throughout the entire home, eating on everybody. Okay? Not good. That's why you need to ask those questions. You need to find out when, how long ago, and how. And then you may say, well, why do I care about the how? The how doesn't matter. Yes, it does. The how is very, very important in control, especially with bed bugs, is because if you know how they got them, then you know that you can treat and you can guarantee them that they'll get rid of them. Also, you know that they're not going to be constantly reintroduced into the home on a frequent basis. Okay? Quick little story. Went to a guy's house. Immaculate home. Beautiful, super clean, massive. Gotten a divorce. Separated. His kids go to his now ex-wife's house. Okay, on a consistent basis. Well, they had bed bugs. Where were they getting these bed bugs? From the ex-wife. Okay, so now I had to explain to him, Okay, you understand if we move forward with these treatments, your ex-wife most likely has bed bugs. If we don't get rid of them over there, we can't get rid of them 100% here because you're going to keep introducing new bed bugs here. I didn't go do that, but he was constantly calling her and making sure that she was getting it checked or taken care of. Because we need to make sure that we're cutting it off on both ends. Now it goes a little bit deeper because that person who went and did it over there, he needs to ask, okay, and this is for all good technicians out there. If you're freaking amazing technicians, that technician, if you listen to this podcast, he'd know to say, hey, where are your kids getting these bed bugs? Where are they before here? If you guys weren't the ones, somebody brought them in. Who brought them in? Who was living here? What happened? Okay, do that research because then you can find out a little bit more. How long were they there? How many are populated around? You know, and you get a lot of these numbers like the whole 20 eggs that they can lay in a life cycle. They can live 6 to 12 months. That's all based off of temperature, okay? Which is all a factor in how fast they grow, how fast they can reproduce, how bad your infestation can get. Okay, now going to the next thing about the 6 to 12 months. That study was done in a laboratory. Okay, this is one thing I just irks me about this industry is they come out with all these stupid laboratory tests, which is amazing. I love it. But it does not give us the full facts because then they go to say, oh, but that was in a laboratory in a protected area. So in all reality, bed bugs actually die a lot quicker than that. So their lifespan is probably about 3 to 4 months, not actually 6 to 12 months. Okay, great. So now I kind of get an idea, but I know that they can live up to 12 months in a laboratory, most likely not living that in an actual situation because we're rolling over them, we're killing them, we're smashing them, we're vacuuming them up, cleaning them, whatever may happen. So in all reality, they can't live that long, but they could live up to that. Okay. The other thing is like the eggs, 200 to 500 in a laboratory, they can have up to 500 eggs in a protected area, you know, where they're constantly getting fed. They're full all the time. They don't have to worry about food. There's no scarcity of food. They don't know if they're going to be able to eat tonight. Then they can have up to 500 eggs. So a lot of these numbers are going to be kind of twisted and bent, which I don't like. Next thing is going to be a little history on the bed bugs. Okay, so bed bugs, they've been around pretty much forever. Okay, they were saying that they had documents of them back, with the Greeks. We're talking about them. Apparently, I don't know. But it wouldn't surprise me, honestly. I mean, wherever we are, they are. It's going to happen. And they didn't have chemicals back then, so they weren't killing them, you know. So it would make sense that they had a ton of these issues. That's why we have a lot of diseases that we have, you know, and there was plagues back in the day. I mean, it was because they didn't have pesticides at the time, and there was no real way of controlling it. But so bed bugs kind of been around forever. They have traveled. They're everywhere. There's not a place where they're really not, unfortunately. Now the cool thing is, so there's been some really interesting things in a lot of the classes I've taken. So one thing is that I learned is we actually almost got the bed bug to extinction. Okay. We were just so close, probably just a couple more years and we would have done it. Okay. Almost to extinction. It was a rarity if you even had a bed bug or even saw a bed bug. Okay. It was like, doesn't happen. Someone tells you they got, but nope, wasn't there. Didn't happen. And that was actually between about 1950, 1960, possibly up to the 70s. Okay. That was during DDT. Okay. So DDT is if you're a newer, younger guy getting into the industry, you're going to hear these guys, oh, I remember back in the day, 50 years ago when I had DDT. Well, unless you were a technician in 1972 or before, you actually didn't touch DDT at all. So which is kind of funny now doing the research about DDT. I knew a guy who's only been in the industry about 15 years, and he talked about the DDT days. He wasn't even around when DDT existed. He was alive, but he actually was not a technician. So he had no idea about DDT. He never used it. He wasn't a pest control technician. So just to let you know, so DDT actually was made in the 1940s. That's when they came out with DDT. Then DDT was banned in the 1970s. So 1972 was the year that it got banned from the US. You no longer could have it. Of course, it floated through the years a little bit because there was products, people had them, things like that. So maybe some people actually had it, but companies themselves could no longer use DDT. It was illegal to use DDT. It was no longer manufactured, done, gone by. The reason why DDT was made was because of fleas and a lot of issues with fleas because fleas and mosquitoes. But DDT was actually used for bed bugs, cockroaches. I've heard, which I may not be correct, I've actually heard in some cases they were treating people, and there's pictures of people getting sprayed with DDT who had lice, which we all know that there's a lot of health effects with DDT, and that's why they originally took it off the market in 1972. If they knew that shit in 1972, I mean, the stuff that's coming out now with DDT, even some of the products we have now, I mean, it's ridiculous. So they knew DDT was bad back then, but it was super effective. So DDT itself, it would actually get stored in your fat cells. And that's what was so bad with it, is it would actually go into your system and you couldn't actually get rid of it because it attached itself to your fat. So it actually stayed in your body. But it wiped insects out, absolutely just destroyed them. And so a big reason for DDT and the push to use it everywhere was, one, for mosquitoes with malaria. So we actually wiped that out, which was great. And then typhus. Because typhus actually, hold on. Okay, sorry about that. My phone's going off. Where was I? So fleas, were a big reason with typhus, and then also lice as well. So that's kind of a big thing there that's kind of interesting. And so they use that, and then there's a lot of other things. So lice actually cause trench fever, also typhus on top of that. So there's a lot of other reasons for it, but DDT was used a big amount against bed bugs as well, which then almost wiped them off the market until DDT was banned. DDT got banned, and then in about the 1980s, guess what happened? Bed bugs came back, and they came back with a vengeance, did they? So main cities are getting hit. I mean, they're getting hit hard. New York, massive. They come out with laws against apartment units. They actually, I was just reading, you have to have a history. So New York guys, you can let me know. There's a whole history of, or not a history, sorry. You have to have a history of bed bugs in your units if you have a complex that has more than 3 or 4 units. You have to have the history of it. And you have to provide that for the next tenant, which is nuts to me that they would come out. But that goes to show how bad bed bugs have come back. The worst city, and this was compiled by Orkin, so I guess Orkin's been doing a really good job about keeping track of, kind of the worst cities and everything. But the worst city is actually Chicago. I looked online. I think it's actually changed now. I think Washington's up there. LA's up there. So some of these really condensed cities are really, really bad with bed bugs because they can travel so easily. Eggs can get stuck onto clothes, and you can now bring them. Bed bugs will lay eggs in suitcases, so now we're bringing them everywhere. We thought we thought coronavirus was bad and that airplanes were, the cause of this spread. We should be looking at bed bugs. I mean, these things can go anywhere, whenever. However, it's crazy. They're not as bad. They actually don't kill people. But so the other thing with bed bugs is which I'll just touch a little bit on. This could probably be an entire episode, which is crazy. But so bed bugs, if there's enough of them biting a person, they can cause an anemia. Okay, anemia is you don't have enough red blood cells bringing oxygen to certain parts of the body. So if you have anemia and you have a ton of bed bugs or bed bug infestation, that could be the reason why you have anemia. So they have connected bed bugs and anemia. The other one that if you would have asked me this about a year ago, I would have been like, you're crazy, or 2 years ago. But it's called delusional parasitosis, okay? Delusional parasitosis is a crazy thing, and it is so real. Google it. It is people who absolutely think everything is an insect, okay? Everything. I've talked to some people where they say there's little things floating in the air, and when they come down and land on my countertop, they seep into my countertop or they seep into my car. And it takes everything inside me to not say you're crazy. You're absolutely insane. You don't have these magical bugs seeping into things. Doesn't exist. But it's so real. I dealt with another person who had bed bugs in their home. I treated, we got rid of them, we set out traps, we came back, we inspected, they had nothing. She had 0 bites. She was getting actual physical bites before, and now she wasn't getting any marks. When I was standing there talking to her, she's like, I feel one on my foot. And she had shoes and socks on. I said, you feel it on your foot? She's like, yeah. I said, take your shoes and socks off. Let's see. And she took it off and she checked and there was nothing there. And then I had to sit her down. I said, okay, I'm not trying to be rude. I'm not trying to embarrass you, but you have this issue. You need to calm down. And I had to explain it to her. You know, parasitosis is real, and it happens to people who get infested with bugs and they freak out. But there is a way, away from it. You don't have anything here. And luckily she was pretty good about it. She accepted it. She never called us back. Everything was fine. We got rid of the bed bugs. But there was another lady I had the same conversation with. She actually did not have bed bugs. I even told her, this was the crazy thing. And you're going to say, no, this is a legitimate, real story. Ask Anthony. He was with me. This lady was so crazy. This actually did not happen with bed bugs. This happened with fleas. So any biting insects will do this. It can cause this delusional parasitosis, which is just insane to deal with if you do deal with it. But it is something that comes up every once in a while. And this lady, she was so out of it. She was so crazy. She would wake up, shower, take all the sheets off, wash the sheets, dry the sheets, put them back on the bed. She would go to work. At work, she started feeling these bugs on her. Okay. She would come home, she would shower again, take off all her clothes, wash all of her clothes, wash all the sheets before she got into bed. I mean, she was bathing multiple times a day on a weekend. If she wasn't working, if she felt itchy, anything, she would hurry and run to the shower, take all of her clothes off, shower, wash her clothes, dry. I mean, just insane, crazy. I told her about delusional parasitosis. She said, no, that's not, I'm not crazy. I said, no, you're not crazy. But this is what can happen. And I explained to her, I said, look, it doesn't matter how many treatments we do. You don't believe us. It doesn't matter if we have an entomologist look in glue boards or anything and identify what you're seeing. You still won't believe him. If you go to a psychologist, you won't believe them. I mean, there's really no treatment for it other than for them to come to reality eventually. But it's insane. It's intense. And she absolutely did not believe anybody. She tried to get every single pest control company out there, and guys jump all over that just to sell it and get money. and then walk away and never talk to her again. And that's what happened. She paid probably thousands of dollars out of her pocket to get rid of these things that didn't exist. We tried to help her, didn't even believe us, took glue boards, everything. And we put glue boards in her vacuum cleaner because she said they jumped out of it. We put glue boards in there, took them in, nothing, clean, just dust. Ectomologist, everything, nothing came out of it. So bed bugs can cause delusional parasitosis. It's very intense. It's crazy. If you're scared to talk to somebody about it, you just got to do it. There's no other way around it. And it sucks. But you just have to be stronger than them, because what can happen is this lady that was just insane. She actually convinced her husband that he was feeling itchy when he came home from work. So anytime he was with her, that's when he started to believe it. Her daughter started to believe it. And so she actually was so convinced, she actually started convincing other people that it was real. Even though they had zero symptoms, they were not getting bit, there was nothing on them, they started to believe it. It was insane. But bed bugs can cause that. And there's actually the main reason why there's lawsuits today with apartment complexes, hotels, everything that I was reading. It's actually because of bed bugs. Loss of sleep is a big one, and they pay out big money for it. So if you are the PMP, you're going out and taking care of these bed bugs, just be careful. And make sure you're covering your grounds, which now brings to the last segment. So I talked a little bit about the bed bugs. I talked a little bit about the history, and then some of the causes and issues with bed bugs, which actually are pretty low and not that extreme compared to a lot of other insects that actually cause diseases. But now let's talk about treatments. Treatments is going to be an interesting one. I have heard of a few different treatments. I stick to one because it has done me wonders. I've just murdered these little guys. First one is going to be heat treatment. Okay, everyone's heard of a heat treatment. You guys might even do heat treatments, and some of you are probably going to hate me because of this. I do not believe in heat treatments. I think it's BS. I think it's very expensive, and there's a ton of liability with it, and I don't think it's actually very effective. I'm going to tell you why I don't go with heat treatments. I'm going to tell you why I think it's just not worth it. So one thing is heat treatments, most people do no prep. So you don't need to prep anything. You don't need to do anything. We'll just come in, we'll heat the house, and you're good. Well, there's some issues there. So depending on the size of your house, you may have different temperature levels at different corners of the house. You actually need to have someone go into the home with it being 126 degrees or whatever the heat is. I don't remember. You actually have to have someone go in with a thermometer and go hit those cool areas. And you need to move things while you're heating the home, which here in California, unfortunately, is kind of wiped out heat treatments because now we have sprinklers, which guys have gone in. I've actually serviced houses after this has happened. Guys have gone in to do heat treatments that a hotel paid for, and the sprinklers popped. Now they have a whole flood issue on their side because they didn't do their due diligence and make sure that the heat treatments were taken care of. So heat treatments, I just don't like. I'm not a big fan of heat treatments at all. It might be the eco-friendly way to go, but what I do and how I do it, I use eco-friendly products, and I have had amazing results with it, very quick, and we don't have callbacks. We don't have to go back out and take care of bed bugs again because they're all taken care of. They all die. So the next one is a chemical treatment. So chemical treatment, when I say chemical treatment, I actually do it a little bit different. So I do incorporate a few other things with the chem treatment. I am using eco-friendly products. I'm not going to go into the specifics with names of products because I think every area is a little bit different. And if you have your way of doing it, that's fine. If you want to know specifics, message me, email me, okay, at dnapestpodcast@gmail.com, or on Instagram, you can DM me at DNA Pest Podcast, and I'll give you those specifics. I'll actually talk about those chemicals if you guys want to message me personally, but I use some eco-friendly products. IGRs are great. Dusting, you have to dust. If you're not dusting, you're probably not doing a good enough job. And I'm not talking about dusting furniture. Okay, I actually just watched a guy in a video. He was dusting bed frames and things like that, which is not bad. I'm not saying that that's not bad, but where you need to be dusting is actually wall outlets. That's where it needs to be. If you're not dusting those areas, that's where they're going to go in and hide, because a lot of people will push their bed up against the wall, and where is the outlet, or where is the connection to plug in your phone? Right next to the bed. Where are all the bed bugs? Right next to the bed. So bed bugs can travel up to 100 feet, okay? They'll travel up to 100 feet. The only problem is they're only going in about an 8-foot radius around where their food source is. Okay, so that will give you kind of an idea where to look for bed bugs when you're doing an inspection. Main area to look, obviously, is where people are sleeping, but move the bed frame away. If you're moving the bed frame away, you'd be shocked. It's amazing how many you'll actually find just right there. And then sometimes when people have been kind of doing their own thing, you got to lift up the mattress, lift up the box spring, move the frame around, and then you can get to them a lot easier that way. But the chem treatments, you have to be super, super thorough. Treating dressers, treating bed frames, mattresses, box springs, baseboards, like I was saying, the light switches, the outlet covers, pulling everything off, making sure you're getting in every single area. Also, they have to prep. Now, there is some cool technology out there. There's infrared bags that you could put all their clothes in and actually turn that thing on. And you could actually cycle out their clothes and just kill everything in their clothes, which is cool. Those units are like about $1,000, I think, up to $2,000, depending on the size. You can get full tents where you can put full pieces of furniture inside, which is crazy. And then you don't have to do any chemical treatments. You'll kill everything on that. You'll have to do chemical treatments outside of the tent, but inside that tent, anything that's in there, it's going to kill everything. So it's pretty cool. But so chemical treatment's one that I always go to. That's my go-to. I combined a little bit of heat. So I'm using steamers, things like that. I'm using chemicals. I'm using eco-friendly products. And then I'm also going with the other treatment. Okay, I'm going to talk about another treatment that I learned at drum roll. I wish I had the button for drum roll. I'm not even going to press a button because I don't know what it's going to do. But the last treatment was by, once again, it was a studied treatment. It was not in a lab, which I liked a lot better. But what they used is they used the pitfall traps, okay? Not the volcano bedbug traps. And I've actually been to that guy's class who invented those. I'm going to tell, if he's listening or if he does listen, I want him to know right now, those things suck, okay? I have spent a ton of money on those things, and I have yet to catch a bed bug in one of them. The second I buy the stupid cheap pitfall traps, I start catching bed bugs like a madman. What is wrong with your stupid bed bug trap with the alert inside, okay? So I even have the little packet you break open and you put it inside the volcano trap, and it still doesn't bring any in there. I hope he listens to this, because and if you guys are buying that, I would stop unless you're having good results. But I've used those I used those for almost a year and a half straight at apartment complexes, at a ton of different places, and guess what? Nothing. It didn't work. I didn't catch a single thing, and I've placed hundreds of those. Waste of money. Great idea, waste of money though. Don't go with them, guys. I'm telling you right now, they suck. Okay, I need to calm down. So I used the pitfall traps as well. And so this other study, what they were saying is they actually placed a ton of pitfall traps everywhere. Underneath furniture, underneath beds, everywhere you can think of. They were using 20, 30 of these pitfall traps. And then they also dusted inside the outlets. And so this treatment, let's back it up. So this study, they actually did this in old folks' home. So this was where old people couldn't leave. They couldn't leave for 4 or 5 hours because of the smell. or because of the treatment. So there wasn't that. So what they had to do is they brought in a vacuum, so a HEPA vac, because you can't have these things crawling back out or getting out. So they used a HEPA vac. So they were vacuuming up all the bed bugs around the seams. They would do spot treatments with the steamer. So they were killing the actual eggs around the seams and everything, so the person could stay in there because the steam doesn't have any chemicals. It's just hot. So they were using a steamer. They were using a vacuum, a HEPA vac. They were dusting in the outlets and along the baseboards. And that was it. And then pitfall traps. So they did have a chemical, which was a pyrethroid, so they were using dry on dust. But then outside of that, there was nothing else used. They weren't using any chemicals outside of that. And the dust, you don't actually have to leave per the label. So per the label, you can stay inside. Everyone can stay inside. They just can't come in contact. So they were pulling furniture away from all the walls. They were doing all the prep. And they were actually gaining 90% control to eventually eliminating them to them 100%, but it was months down the road. So they had to do a constant monitor over that. But there is other treatments out there other than heat or chemical treatments. And what I've done is I've kind of mixed some of these treatments together to find that nice sweet spot, which has given me results super fast, super quick, with the right amount of work on my side and on their side. But you have to have those options. And so that's how I'm getting rid of these bed bugs. I'm using those treatments. So I hope this helped. I hoped you learned something from the bed bugs, from their lifespan, from egg sac, everything to the history, even to the treatments. And the treatments are going to vary so greatly that I could tell you specifically what I do, and it's probably not going to matter because there might be a better way out there and there might be crappier ways out there. Actually, I know there's crappier ways because I used to do them. But if you want that information, message me. Email me, send me a DM on Instagram. I'm more than happy to answer that. But this is that last episode of the mini-series on bed bugs. Use this information to become the best tech out there. Use this information to grow and teach other technicians. Don't hold this information back. And if you don't want to teach them, just tell them, hey, the DNA Pest Control Podcast, they'll tell you everything you need to know. Go listen to them. They can binge listen, and we'll cover everything for them. You don't even have to ask you questions if you're not going to tell them. But thanks for listening, guys. And also, one last thing before I go. Get ready for Friday. Okay? Get ready for Friday. It's 3 days away, right? Friday. Friday is going to be amazing, okay? I told you last episode, my buddy's going to come on. He is an expert in insurance and finance and everything. So I actually convinced him to come on. He came on and he talked about health insurance. Oh, yeah, that's super boring, right? No. I'm telling you, this is one of my favorite episodes I've ever done. You have to listen to Friday. If you think you know about health insurance, I guarantee you he's going to just burst your little bubble and destroy you. But this is literally going to help you out. If you're a technician or you own your own company or whatever, and you get health insurance, he's going to tell you what the experts look for when they're choosing health insurance. When he goes into massive companies and he gets them all set up for health insurance, this is what he's looking for. He's going to tell you exactly the loopholes. He's going to show you everything. He's going to talk about if you lost your job or what's going. He has it all. We're going to cover it all. Go listen. It's going to be amazing. It's 45 minutes long, but after you listen to it, you're going to be a health insurance expert. I'm telling you, it is awesome. So go listen to that episode. And once again, don't hesitate to email. Don't hesitate to DM, message, whatever you want to listen to, whatever you want to hear, whatever you want me to talk on, let me know so we can put that episode out. All right. Thanks for everything, guys. And I hope everyone has an amazing week and get ready for that Friday episode. See ya.